Hi there. I'm so glad that you're here today because we're in another part of my lab where I can show you how the USB microscope works today. And this is a nice setting because we can show you a lot of different kind of substances and how differently they look under a microscope than they do in ordinary vision. So this would be a 20/20 vision. And with this, we can magnify that up to 400 times. One reason that the microscope is such a great tool is because it helps researchers in the lab observe the traits and the properties of plants, animals, which includes humans, and all the things in our material world that are non-living. So today, in this age of the viruses and the bacteria around us that we have to think about and how to stay safe, researchers are looking at not only the plants and how they can help us in the labs, and the vaccines, which are liquids, so there is a different type of tool and microscope for that. And they're also looking at the materials around us, and we can answer questions like, well, how can we stay safe? What would be the best materials for us to surround ourselves with to be safe? And that's how the healthcare professionals are telling us what we need to know to stay safe and be able to be out in the world. So let's give it a practice and I can show you how this works. So I have right here 3 different types of plants, and I'm going to zoom in on them a little bit, and then you can see how differently they look, way magnified. This is a flower. It's a flower that's overwintered, it's preserved, but it still has the dried out parts of a flower so you can see it even more easily. Then this is a leaf off a flowering tree, and this is a leaf off a spider plant, and it grows in nature all by itself without even us watering it usually. So let's start with the flower and see how delicate it might be. And as I put my microscope near it, it really looks like a dried leaf, except you can see all the cells that are on the surface of that flower. And those little black spots are just places that were nutrients that were flowing through the flower, and they just kind of dried up in place. So let's try next if we can get a shot of the leaf from the flowering tree. This one is fresh. I picked it off a tree last week. And see what we can find on here. That might let us see what the parts of that leaf look like. Oh my goodness. So this is alive. And we can focus in on that and just see how it is still got live cells in it. So this is about 400 times magnified, and you would use a higher microscope if you found one that showed you what you wanted to see to get the maximum amount of visibility for what's going on in each cell. This is the spider plant, and look how different it is because its leaves take up water constantly from the environment around it. The other one had fewer cells, so it would take up less water and it would bloom a shorter time. Let's look on the other side of the spider plant, because for most plants there's a top and a bottom, and you can see the vein structure on the top is what's protecting it. So those are some of the things that we can look for and investigate with the USB scope in nature. And then I wanted to show you fabrics and how they look under the scope, because if we want to try to find out what fabrics do to protect us from the environment, we can try an assortment of fabrics. So we try some very thin, beautiful fabrics that might look nice in clothing. We can try some heavier ones that might look good to protect us from the weather when it's cold. We can use some that are rough, that might be good in like pillows and bedspreads and coverings for furniture. And then there's plastic. And we might use that for something like a raincoat. So these are all the different kinds of fabrics. Let's see how they look. I started out with one earlier that was real colorful. And so when we use this scope, we're trying to find out what we can learn about the weave of the fabric and how well it would protect us from what's around us. Oh my. So the weave of this fabric is very tight. And you can see by the different colors how it's woven together. And then we compare it to one that doesn't look like it's woven like that. Let's see how this one works. So it's going to be a little different. Oh my goodness. This one has furry hairs on the top of it. And it's woven slightly differently, overlapping weaves. So it might catch viruses. You wonder if that would be better. Oh, you can really see this one. It's very shiny and flat. That might be a good one to let viruses go by in the air. We have found they go by in the air. This one also has those hairs on it. That would catch particles in the air. Then we go to one more heavy one. And it seems like the heavier they are, the more fabric they have. And then let's try the plastic and see what it does. So this would be the plastic. And you can see that it almost looks like it has a melted surface on the top. Doesn't look like anything would go through that, huh? Well, so that's how we use it. And I'd love for each of you to have one and go investigate the world around you, your hair, your skin, your fingernails. So that's all the fun we can have here for today, but I hope you enjoy the worksheet about microscopes, and I'll see you soon.